Hello everyone, my name is Andrew. This is a bit of a follow-on from a previous video that I made, just thinking about looking at people's faces and sadness and sometimes a sour look on their faces that they have. That there's something I want to talk about that, well, it may be an interesting, contentious topic for a number of people listening to this, but there's an aspect of ourselves that we often call the ego, which is well, I'm going to just put it out this way, that in our mind, we have, let's say, we'll refer to it as consciousness. We have a lower aspect, absolute lowest aspect of our consciousness, and the actual pinnacle and highest aspect of our consciousness. And a lot of the time, as we're going about our lives, most people are not really seeking out or even aware of the potential of themselves. And that goes above and beyond the normal day-to-day ego, which we often, define ourselves as, our lives as, and it's not particularly helpful at times, because a lot of the times that's acting out of the lower aspect of ourselves. And to give you a bit of an idea of what that means, or an example at least, if we want to think about the lowest aspect of ourselves, well, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, or maybe experienced it yourself, that when people drink a lot of alcohol and get really, really drunk, they're often not speaking or acting at their highest or even higher aspect of themselves, or it's usually at a lower aspect of themselves. People can be quite foolish when they're drunk and make a lot of nonsense, and a lot of the time too, because a lot of people have problems, traumas they haven't resolved. A lot of that stuff can come out too when people drink, lets it all down, and it all just comes out, and it can be pretty gross, pretty disgusting. And we can see that when people who, sometimes people who are alcoholics, we can really see that, particularly in a family dynamic where it can be very damaging indeed. So, I mean, I would say that most people would agree that that's not really someone who's acting in that way. Is acting at the higher self, highest aspect of themselves, or their potential. So thinking about that, what is our potential and where do we find it? Well, to think about how to best word this and find the best words to, because I'm going to be speaking to such a broad audience, and there are different words to describe this. I mean, essentially it's just semantics, really, using different words to describe the same thing. But in your brain, there is an area called the prefrontal cortex, which is often referred to as a seat of concentration. So if you think about it, if anyone's watching me at the moment in this video rather than listening, when people sometimes concentrate, they close their eyes and they're really thinking, sort of about here, right? It's between the eyebrows. And some of you may know where I'm going with this, perhaps already just making that reference, but it doesn't matter what culture you sort of look at that refers to this, that the prefrontal cortex, as we understand it in science, is also the same area that in the Hindus were referred to as the ajna, or the third eye. So that's what they refer to it in their own language, and I don't know if I'll get into it so in depth here, but the fullness of the depth of that. But even if we look at it from a Christian point of view, that area that I'm talking about, whether you call it the third eye or the prefrontal cortex, is also the seat of the kingdom of heaven. That is where the heaven is. It's actually within you. Christ, through Jesus, said that himself. Said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. He made a lot of other references too to this, that if thine eye be single, the whole body shall be filled with light. Now, I'm not trying to get into any kind of religious thing here, despite it may sound that way. What I'm trying to make here is a sort of junction between whether we look at it in terms of science or religion, if you want to call it that, that we're talking about the same thing here. So I know that some of the things I've said now will probably turn some people off. But hopefully some of you are still listening, even if you feel a little, oh, I don't know about this. But keep an open mind. When you focus your attention, in any point, you're actually putting energy into that area. So you can actually just do this with anything. If you close your eyes and just focus your attention on your big left toe, and then try and feel, the volume around it or the space around it, or however you want to define that. Just feel outside it, even feel the toe without even touching it with your hands. You can sense it. Okay. Now, if you do the same sort of thing and you're putting that attention, and you're just try and feel, not just your attention there, but try and feel it. Try and feel there. And as I point there, the third eye, really between the eyebrows and up a little, feel that point, but try and pull it in a little bit too. Try and pull it back inside your head a little bit, and try and feel there, and try and put as much concentration there. Essentially, this is what a pretty main aspect of meditation is to do this, but not to try to then meditate upon anything. Just put your concentration there. Your mind will wander, absolutely. That's just the nature of the mind, and through practice it gets better. But essentially what meditation is to become one-pointed. So the point is here. That's where we're trying to put it. In this particular case I'm talking about, we're putting it there. And so this is really where the higher aspect of ourselves is, our highest potential. And the interesting thing about this is that the more we focus on that, and the more we come to realize that there is a very real aspect of this within inside ourselves, and I can tell you this from personal experience. I've been meditating for years. This is a very real experience, and you'll find this anyway if you delve into meditation yourself or do any reading on this in greater depth. That again, whatever words people use, it's essentially describing the same things. But now I want to stretch it a little bit further here, and hopefully again I don't lose anybody, to keep an open mind here. That as we focus our attention on this aspect up here, this prefrontal cortex, this really is, I'm going to use a religious point of view here. As I said, it is the kingdom of heaven. But say in the Christian understanding, that they say, God is in the kingdom of heaven, that really is referring to that aspect of the divine is within you. It's within there. So the more you focus on it, not just focus on it, the next step is really to release and surrender the lower aspect of ourselves, our egos, up to the higher aspect of ourselves. Now, I'm not asking you to join any religions. I'm not trying to get you involved in anything here there's anything like that. Particularly if you're an atheist, you might be having quite some trouble with what I'm saying here, which is fine. You may not resonate with this, or you may not be ready to hear this and just think it's a bunch of nonsense. That's fine. That's okay. I'm not trying to prove or change anyone's mind. I am sharing. It's not even my belief or opinion. I'm sharing with you a method that the more you do it, the more you'll find this becomes a reality in your own life. That as we surrender, the example, you can use whatever word you like. As simple as this, I surrender myself to the higher aspect of myself, right here, right now, each and every day. I do this. I want this. I want my higher self to live through me. I want my higher self to express through me. This is it. Okay, you can use whatever word you like. You can call it the divine, or the universe, or the cosmic mind, or infinite mind, or God, or whatever term resonates with you. As I said, it's really the semantics when we use these terms, and this is why we have a lot of problems between different religions and things, because everybody's saying my way is the only way, which is just not true. It's just a different way of looking at the same thing. So, anyway, that's another thing in itself. But I'm encouraging you to do this because when I see a lot of people and their faces look very glum, I understand we can have off days, but I'm not talking about an off day. I'm talking about a day in, day out lifestyle of living in a way that people just don't have that spirit within them. You can see it. They look grey in their faces. They look down. They feel down. You can sense it. You can see it. Even when you talk to them, they're like, that's not really very miserable about life. And who's feeling that? I mean, I know that we've got thoughts and that going around us, but that's the lower aspect of yourself, is it not? Your higher aspect of yourself will have a sense of joy, a sense of love, a sense of fulfillment in life, a sense of greatness, creativity, inspiration, and optimism about life. And I'm not saying you still can't have off days. That's not what I'm getting at. But overall, it'll be in a upward way through life. So to seek this out, and see, as we put our concentration here, we're stilling the mind, because, as I say, we fill ourselves with so much of the outside world all the time coming in at us, other people's opinions and ideas about this and that, and it just gets so chaotic inside ourselves. And many people don't do anything each day to find a stillness in that. So just in that in itself, just the very act of trying to just concentrate on this point. I said your mind will wander. Thoughts will be going. You think, I can't do this. That's the beginning. That's okay. The fact that you're just trying to do it, you're just concentrating. It's like trying to learn an instrument. If you've never used your fingers, to move over a fretboard on a guitar or a flute or whatever it is, to press the keys and that, well, you're probably going to be very uncoordinated, and it's going to be still a big mess. It's not going to sound great, and you probably maybe feel somewhat disappointed. If you start trying to play an instrument and you're not getting the results straight away. But realistically, hey, I'm just starting. And it's the same with meditation. It's normal to not be able to still the mind. It's actually, even advanced meditators sometimes have an off day. And I remember years ago spending a day with a Buddhist monk, and he said that. He said when they were training, they had to do 20 hours of meditation a day. And he said some days, you knew within the first hour, if you couldn't get a sense of stillness, he said the next 19 hours weren't going to be any better. And I thought, that sounds pretty brutal, doesn't it? But even that, someone who's sort of experienced, maybe after you got to a certain point, he got better at that. I'm not sure. But I know I still have a few off days, but they get better. It's very rare now that I have these full-on days where I just really can't focus at all. But it does happen, for a number of reasons. So that shouldn't deter you, just the very practice of doing this. Because what I'm trying to suggest to you here is that just by doing this very act, it's a very strong intention towards wanting to live in a higher aspect of yourself. And there may be resistance in this in itself. Even me just saying this, you might think, I don't know, all this negative stuff comes up. There's a bunch of crap, a bunch of nonsense, whatever. But have you really ever really given it a go? Really tried it? Maybe you've done one or two meditations, but have you really, really pushed through? And I'm not talking about doing this just in some kind of masochistic sort of way to really punish yourself. I'm so struggling to do this. You've got to do this through your own free will to want to do this. But this is not a unique thing I'm telling you here. This is something that anyone who's really ever done this will tell you the same thing. And I'm only skimming the surface here. What I'm trying to say to you, though, is this is a part of, really, if you really want to push it towards cultivating a healthier lifestyle, a healthier mind, a more joyful life, this is really one of the greatest things you could really be doing, amongst all the eating better or listening to this thing or working through your traumas. And all of that's great too, and you will need to do this still if you have a lot of traumas that are holding you back from obtaining a greater sense of happiness and joy in your life. But this is quite an incredible thing, because this aspect of yourself, where your higher aspect of yourself, your higher mind, the highest potential of yourself, this is a very, very powerful thing to be doing. And I recommend people do it. It's not costing you anything, except for some time each day. I would recommend doing this at least 20 minutes a day, just focusing the best you can. And I do a little bit more than that too. This is sort of the general thing people say, just focus on that point. But I'll suggest to you too, an even greater thing to do before or even during this sort of meditative practice. And I suggested it in the previous video. And And I like to put my hand on my heart. You don't have to do this, but I like to try and close my eyes at first and try and focus inside my heart, and feel joy. What does joy feel like? And just try and feel that radiating through my body. There's you can do a visualization thing that as you breathe in, you feel like peace coming in. You could say there's light. You're breathing in light, and it's filling your body with peace. And then you hold it, and you just release all that is non-peaceful from the body. And then you can do the next thing with joy. You just slowly breathing in and shut your eyes. You're breathing in joy, and you hold it, and you feel the joy radiate through every cell of your body, feeling it, and then you can just gently release, letting go of all that is non-joy from your body. But you can do that not just breathing in the joy. Then you can be breathing in the joy, and rather than breathing out the all that's non-joy, you can breathe out. As you breathe out, I'm radiating joy out into the world. I'm radiating this joy out to the world, radiating this peace, this love, this positivism, this positivity into the world. And the more you concentrate and think about these positive things, and I said it's going to really depend on how much you notice this, depending on where you're at. If you're feeling very negative at the moment, very down, you may not feel these benefits immediately, because you got to work against this very, very heavy, as I've described before, like the teacup analogy that I use. If you get a spoon and you spin it really, really fast inside a teacup, and all the water or the tea or whatever is spinning really, really fast in one direction, and then you go, all right, I'm turning the spoon the other way. Well, it doesn't automatically just change direction, does it? It slows down a little bit, and as it slows down, then it comes to sort of this big mess as it sort of starts trying to take the next direction, and then it finally takes and goes the other direction. So think about that with your own mind, that despite how you feel, despite if it feels like it's not working, you're now doing something you perhaps haven't done before, or for quite some time, or not enough of, at least, even if you have been doing it, that we need to really, really spend time on cultivating, this sense of positivity in our lives. But we do, many things, and to do that, as I said, we do food, thoughts, and all that sort of stuff. But this meditative practice, the more we focus on positive thoughts, and just, even I said, not even thoughts, just peace. Just thinking about peace. What does peace feel like? What does joy feel like? What's love feel like? What does fulfillment feel like? What does it feel like to feel fulfilled in life? Imagine that. Imagine how you would feel, not by what you have to have the fulfillment. Imagine you just felt completely fulfilled right now. What does it feel like? How you would feel secure, wouldn't you? You'd feel secure. Oh, I just feel secure. I mean, whether that's your monetary things are all sorted or whatever it is, don't even define it. Just think, what does it feel to be completely fulfilled? You just think. And then from that would be joy. You'd think, oh, I just feel so joyful, so happy, and whatever comes with that, you think about it for yourself, but feel it. So as I said, with the meditation, I put my hand on my heart and I just focus on just joy. And sometimes it comes really quickly and sometimes not so much. But I'll keep focusing on it. And I'll get this sense of joy within me, this radiating, I feel this energy within me. And then and sometimes what I'll do is I'll visualize feeling that joy coming up to me into my, to this prefrontal cortex. And I relax my body. I just feel it, let everything go, and just this part of the surrender, thinking, I just surrender myself, even my life, my will, up to my higher self within me this day, right here, right now. And I give thanks for that. That's it. I'm grateful that this higher aspect of myself is going to live through me, manifest through me, whatever way that looks. And I'm just going to feel good about that and keep doing it. You can do it throughout the day. You don't have to do it once. And particularly when in tough times, it's best to keep on focusing on there. Even when you have negative thoughts, negative feelings, pain in the body, whatever it is, just keep offering up to your higher self. I give this over to my higher self to deal with. I keep surrendering it, because a lot of the time, things that come up in the body, they can be related to emotional things. Yes, we do eat the wrong foods and that, but they can also affect our body, like inflammation in the body, which is what most disease is anyway. But if we're eating inflammatory foods, that can cause problems. We've got to avoid that. But what I'm getting at is the more we keep offering these things up to ourselves, surrendering it to this higher aspect of ourselves, you could be like, this hatred I feel for this person, I think I don't want it. I surrender up to my higher self to deal with. I give it over to my higher self. I don't want this hatred. I send, love and joy to this person. I'm struggling to let go of this hatred, so I'm going to offer it up to my higher self to deal with. I'm offering it up. I surrender it to that. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And the same thing too with your negative thoughts. Just nullify them. Use the word nullify. Whatever. I reject this. If you think a negative thought about you or someone else or your life, just catch it right where it is. Be really conscious of it and say, I reject that thought. I nullify that thought. I surrender it up to my higher mind. I don't want it. I let it go. And just keep doing it. The more you do it, the more you keep doing this, the more you will start to see the effects. I absolutely guarantee it. But we've got to become conscious of our thoughts, which is what I was saying in the previous video about writing things down. But that's why meditation's helpful too, because you'll start to notice how you're thinking about things. So anyway, I don't want to make this video go too long. It's already over 20 minutes. But it's a simple practice you can do, and I highly recommend you do it. I said, I'm not trying to get you involved in any kind of religions or anything here. It's something that's a very personal thing you can do for yourself in any way you feel is right for you. And again, I just highly recommend it. So anyway, I wish you all a wonderful day, night, wherever you are, and please feel free to leave any comments below. I always enjoy reading comments from anybody. And if anyone wants to work with me one-on-one, my details are below in the description. And again, I look forward to making more content, and I really wish you all the very best.